Alright. New setup-ish. I just wanted to, move because I didn't feel like setting up my tripod and my camera. Hold on. And my mic in my room and make it all nice because she's kind of grody right now, so we're not going to talk about that. But I know what you're thinking. God, another essay about Barbie? Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yes, I am a woman. Yes, I am going to talk about Barbie. Because it's pretty easy for us to talk about the insanely moving themes of the feminist classic Greta Gerwig's Barbie, produced in 2023? Produced in 2023. I wasn't really exactly sure how I was going to, talk about this movie, or I even thought about making a video essay about it. I didn't really think about this until I had watched the Golden Globes.
Oppenheimer and Barbie are competing for cinematic box office achievement. Oppenheimer is based on a 721-page Pulitzer Prize-winning book about the Manhattan Project. And Barbie is on a plastic doll with big boobies. I watched Barbie. I loved it. I really did love it. I don't want you guys to think that I'm a creep, but it was kind of weird being attracted to a plastic doll. It's just something about your eyes, Ryan. So the whole show, just close your eyes, Ryan. Everyone just looks into your eyes. And Margot, it's not always about you.
I think we all knew watching Joe Coy's set that he was bombing hard. And of course he did kind of have a response that some of his writers wrote the jokes, but also it kind of, the fact that the jokes were even told on live television speaks more to the jokes rather than it speaks to, Joe Coy as a person. I'm not trying to fault Joe Coy right now, but however, I'm faulting the industry for letting it be okay to say these things. I just so happened to be watching it with my mom, and we both knew that he was bombing hard, where we both said, oh god, this is bad. This is really bad. The Barbie jokes that came out of his mouth, we were both silent for. My mom had yet to see the movie, so we kind of didn't really have a rapport about it. I had seen it. I thought it was okay. I didn't really have a connection with it yet, but also I feel like I had seen it in the theater with my friends where I hadn't really had a connection to it yet, because I started to watch that movie around the time I was, portraying myself as a trans woman in the world, and I hadn't really necessarily thought about the feminist themes until now. Because after the Golden Globes, me and my mom began to watch it together. And we all know the importance of this movie having such a powerful theatrical experience. I mean, come on. We saved the movie theater industry just through Barbenheimer, Sure, a Marvel movie can do that, but the amount of rallying we saw for Barbie and Oppenheimer in that weekend of July was insane. We can all be serious when we say it was insane. Meryl Streep had said,
Just want to say to Billy and Phineas that you have delivered the Barbie love bomb. You've saved the movies last summer, all of our jobs. You've delivered joy to countless generations and genders of people. And you should surf that wave, kids, until you're old and deserve to be jaded like me.
the movie is just so much more than a blonde with big boobs. It's about the unique experiences we kind of face as women. The kind of unique experiences that we kind of endure. We're not going to label them as women's issues because they're much more than that. Anyways, might as well tell you that this is Greta Gerwig's Barbie. So yeah, if you haven't been on the search for the path 6 months, you might not have known that Greta Gerwig, acclaimed director of Lady Bird, a beautiful coming-age movie starring Saoirse Ronan, and a more feminist adaptation of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, both Academy Award-nominated films. You could tell in her past filmography she kind of deals with a lot of the feminist lens of things, whether it be through Lady Bird, kind of realizing the age of adolescence and how much women's agency affects their lives, and also in Little Women, where the power of sisterhood can be the most feminizing thing in your life. So we had kind of known that she had teamed up with her husband, who we will not go in depth about because I would rather not talk about that man right now because we don't deserve to give him the time of day. I do like Marriage Story and his other movies, but we're not going to talk about him right now. Noah Baumbach. So these two individuals have collectively made up this script together. They had penned the script together, and they had filled the Barbie movie with countless jabs at men, patriarchy, women's standards, and just the brutal, brutal fucking world it is to live as a woman. This script is so eloquently written, by the way, if you didn't know. It's beautiful. And they also teamed up with Margot Robbie's production company, Lucky Chap Productions, to produce the movie. Margot Robbie has also previously produced things like Promising Young Woman. I think she produced Bombshell, too. Good try, South, but that is not really correct. She did produce Saltburn and Birds of Prey. Yeah, two insanely feminist movies. Well, love it. Yeah, so she then went on to produce Barbie. And if you didn't know, the movie began to gain a hell of a lot of traction when it began to start its release date announcements. And little did we know that it was being released the same day as the Christopher Nolan schlockfest of pure cinema and makes all the cis-het 20-year-old film bros literally nut in their jimmies. Oppenheimer, about the production of the atom bomb, starring a literally star-studded cast. Like, if you haven't seen that cast, Christ, dude. Like, the amount of A-listers in that movie, and B-listers, and honestly C-listers, that are in that movie that are either in supporting roles, or even they're just there for 2 seconds. Nat Wolff is in that movie. Josh Peck is in that movie. Oh my gosh. So many people in that movie. But yeah, it began to gain traction and began to team up with Barbie for the highly anticipated Barbenheimer event, where they all released in theaters together. But when people actually sat down in the theater, that's when Pandora's box started to be opened. Barbie was unapologetically liberal and feminist. Like, its themes were so powerfully potent with so many centuries of female rage. Like, you can just, it's very palpable in the script to feel a lot of women's oppression in that script. But, then people like Fox News and a bunch of anti-woke media establishments started to capitalize on Barbie and started to call it a, hold on, let me get a quote here.
If you see right here, next to Asia, shows the 9 dashes. Now, those dashes signify Chinese ownership of the ocean, islands, and reefs. The Chinese believe they own the South China Sea, but they don't.
But, like, why must you marginalize men? I haven't seen this, but if that is true, why must you do it?
I haven't seen it, but I think it comes down to living 20 minutes from Hollywood money.
I didn't even know it wasn't like PG, but apparently it's PG-13. It's full of suggestive humor. And I found out last week, they somehow didn't let anyone know this with the marketing campaign, that one of Barbie's main 3 sidekicks is, surprise, surprise, a man. I mean, is nothing sacred?
Yeah, Barbie is the most I have seen a movie go for the jugular on the patriarchy and men in general, and a lot of men were actually quite butthurt about it. When I watched it with my dad, though, he was a little butthurt about the Godfather joke, because if you don't know, my 60-year-old father is a lovely guy who loves The Godfather movie. Thinks it's the best movie of all time, and we have had multiple conversations about what movies are the best of all time, and we have disagreed immensely. But that's honestly a video for another time. Will we like Marty on the channel? I would love to put Marty on the channel. Yeah, so the discourse around the Barbie movie was intense. We had a lot of anti-woke news outlets, anti-feminists, misogynists, and any man who is kind of overly sensitive with how the world is too political now kind of flocked to the movie and gave it a big fat crap on it. Me, a trans woman that was 6 months into my transition, still felt a little weary in everything of being a woman and didn't really know my identity as a whole. So being able to disperse myself with the Barbie movie, I didn't necessarily feel the sisterhood. But many women did, All women and all people began to flock to the movie theater dressed in pink, sparkles, glitters. Everyone was dressed to the nines just to see the Barbie movie. I was one of them. My best friend Taya was also one of them as well, and we went together, and we had a blast. It was a great time. It was a great movie, but I didn't necessarily find that it hit me yet. I thought that it was great. I thought that the way it spoke about women's issues and the issues we face as women in our daily lives was poetic and powerful and poignant. And I thought it was great, but I didn't necessarily feel connected to it as much as I do now. If you don't know, of course, I, after the Golden Globes, watched the Barbie movie with my mom and my dad, and that is when it hit me. Yeah. Now watching it, I was able to reciprocate with it more. If you don't know, I am a woman. My name is Jade. I'm a trans woman. I have been on HRT for the past 4 to 5 months now, and I didn't realize how much this would hit me as I now am a person with estrogen in my body, but Barbie felt right at home in Greta Gerwig's filmography. When I watched it with my mom and my dad a couple nights ago, I sobbed the hardest I had ever really sobbed before at a movie, or this movie in particular. It was so beautifully poetic, so beautifully moving, and now that I know that I have my sisters, my girlfriends, who kind of make me feel like I'm a woman and like I'm a strong woman and like I deserve to be here, it kind of makes it all just so much better. And made me feel so emotional with everything. The montage and the What Was I Made For, written and produced by the fabulous Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell. Just moved me to tears, man. These movies all fit beautifully together in Greta's filmography of really powerful, poetic, feminist tales, while one is high budget and really camp and really over the top, one being more low budget and subdued, and one being a little middle budget that's a mixture of the both. It feels like Greta Gerwig kind of encapsulates every single movie she does in a stage of womanhood. We have Lady Bird, the adolescence one. We have Little Women, which is kind of encapsulates what it's like to be a woman in a sisterhood, but also at many different ages, whether you're in your young years and your 20-year-old years, where we also see Jo as like a living student in New York. And then Barbie kind of encapsulates what it's like to be young adult to adult women, because it also hits that chord with mothers a lot. Ruth Handler's little line where she's like,
"We mothers stand still so our daughters can look back to see how far they've come."
So I'm just here editing this fucking video. And I'm sobbing because I have to look back at this. It kind of exemplifies what it's like to be an adult woman of dealing with the patriarchy and the crushing weight of the world and all of that. But also it handles all three of these like scenes or moments of girlhood in such a beautiful way, because we see Sasha and her mother in that time of childlike wonder where they're so in love with each other, but then we see the adolescence where she starts to rebel a bit and she starts to not accept a lot of affection, and she starts like kind of fall out of love with her mom in a way. And then we see America Ferrera's beautiful performance as the mother, and it's so enigmatic of finding the joy that you want back in your life, and also getting your daughter on your side is a big help in that. Yeah, I loved that little aspect. But I naturally am going through my 20s and my 30s right now. I'm 20 years old, soon to be 21. And I'm still relating to a lot of the questions and the phrases that Barbie brings up as adult women, because we're kind of expected to do a lot of things that aren't necessarily true or accurate to us. And it felt nice to actually be able to like have something that I could grasp onto. It talked about those really captivating moments in your life where everything changes and you feel lost, but also after that you feel found. If you don't know, I'm 20 years old, and I, over the last year, have dealt with a really awful kind of battle with mental health and depression and anxiety specifically. And almost a year ago from now, I attempted to commit suicide. I felt really lost for a long time, and being able to start HRT, being able to do therapy has kind of made life worth living again. And being able to see this movie with so much joy and so much joy radiating off of it kind of made it feel so much more beautiful and so much more it made my life experiences and this movie being set in that same part of my life where I do kind of feel like I relate to stereotypical Barbie in a lot of ways, where I don't you were a person before and you're not really sure if you're that same person now type of scenario is something I really relate to. So when I saw this movie, I saw it back in July, where I hadn't made a lot of progress in my mental health. So I guess it didn't hit me yet, all the changes. But now, being someone who has made like a full turnaround of my process, it feels so much more poetic. And I keep saying poetic, Jesus. So I saw this movie back in July, and it had only been a couple months since that breakdown, and I didn't really feel like I related to it, because I guess I wasn't necessarily ready to hear those types of things in a movie. But now, being almost a full year after my breakdown, I can say that this movie is so powerful and enigmatic of my experience as a woman. Because also being able to start HRT and see someone like you on a screen about women, dude, come on. Like, that's crazy. If you don't know, one of the Barbies is played by Hardy Neff, a trans actress and model, also from Stan Levinson's Assassination Nation, and I think Devs as well. I don't know, I haven't seen it. Yeah, just to be able to see Greta Gerwig say trans women are women just by simply casting a trans woman as a Barbie. Ally. Like, it's so perfect to the overall image of everything. Watching Margot Robbie's Barbie go through the strife and the discovery of her own morality is the same thing I went through last year. The breakup from a partner. Check. The horrifying confrontation of death. Check. Finding women that support and nurture her. Check. And ultimately making a decision to change her her way of life permanently. Check. The way Greta and Noah wrote this script felt as a natural call out for multiple parties. The reason why I changed up my setup is because with the Pride and Prejudice joke, if you can't see, this is Autumn DeWolf's Emma from 2021, starring Anya Taylor-Joy. It is a Jane Austen adaptation. They didn't need to read us for rewatching Pride and Prejudice for the 50th time that week. Like, who said that was allowed, you know? Who said that was okay to do that? Ugh, so rude. The world needs this movie more than ever right now. Women's rights stripped away so fast. Reproductive rights are being taken away faster than we can even think about it. Our world is just getting more suffocating as the days go on, and there's a Barbie and Ken in every shape and size. And everyone needs to know that they are a Barbie or a Ken or an Ellen or a Madam President or a Sasha or everything. We're all naturally just here as a society cohabitating together. Yeah, it's so good. So I'm editing this video and just realized I forgot to film an outro. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for another video soonish. It's not gonna be 2 months later, I promise. I promise. I wouldn't do that to you. But, yeah. See you next time.